So we are going to continue from, so last time we saw that first there should be how to name. This is, we have the data type followed by the variable equals to the data, then we have to close the quotation mark, and then we talk about the various data types: string, integer, double, and bool. Those are the four ones that we look at. And then our discussion had us to was basically on how to name variables. So we are going to start today with how to name variables first. So for the variable, we are going to focus on how to name variables. So to name a variable first, you have to know that there is no space. You cannot put a space between variable. Like for example, a variable called my name, right? This space is not is going to make render it invalid. So we don't have a variable that is having a space inside. So no space. That's the very first thing. Now the next thing is you cannot start a variable with a number. A number cannot start a variable. Let me tell you the only thing that can start a variable. If you want to name a variable, the only things that are available to name a variable are lower case alphabets. So any of the lowercase alphabets, and then this is one. These are the things that you can use to start. And then the second one is underscore sign. The underscore sign. But you have to be careful how to use the underscore, especially when we are learning extra concepts. We'll tell you. But then to start a variable, these are the only two options. You cannot start with a number. You cannot have one name, two name, because you want to say like name one, name two. So it's rather better to say name one, name two, going. Right. So but you have to start with lowercase alphabet. So the first letter is always small letter, always. So those are the things that you need to also keep in mind. And then you can also do underscore name one. Right, so you can start with underscore, or you can start with a lowercase alphabet. Those are the only things that are allowed to start a particular when you are naming a variable. Okay. The next thing is if you are naming variables, sometimes the variables are compound names, right? For example, I want to write like let's say first name. So like we have first, in normal English you have first space name. So you want to write this first name in that. To take care of that, there are two ways of doing that, but Flutter prefers you use a particular one. There is one called the snake case of naming variables, and then two, the camel case. So if you know about snake, right? Snake like under, they are under on the floor, always on the floor, moving like that. For camel, if you look at the back of camels, right? Like the animal is some way, and then at the back here we have humps. Then I think two or one. So there is this up down thing from it. So it starts from down, go up, down, go up. So what does that mean? How do we see that? Let's start with the snake case first. For the snake case is where instead of writing first name, right, you are putting underscore between the different names, or you are using underscore to join the compound names, right? You want to join first name to make it a variable, so you have to use first underscore name. So in naming a variable, we know that there is not going to be space. We don't use space between. So the thing to do is that you are going to use underscore to serve as your space between compound names when you are naming variables. So I want to write my first name, so I can do my underscore first underscore name. So doing this is called the snake case. Because like this underscore is seen as the snake between the first and the name. It is going to represent or replace the space that you are supposed to actually put there. That's the another use of the underscore. The underscore can either start or can be used as a space between them. And if you're using space, you're using the underscore to serve as the space between the name. We call the snake case naming variables. This particular thing is used in Python, right? This one is like mostly used in Python when you are doing Python language. Now let's look at the camel case. So remember this particular thing, how the back of camels look like, down, up, down, up. We say that to name a variable, you will have to always start with small letter, lowercase alphabet, small letter. So we are still going to use first name. So let's say we want to name something like first name. That's what we want to use. So we have to, the first letter, the first noun, the first noun should be first, right? And the following one, that's like a compound name, should now follow with a capital letter. That's where the hump of the camel comes. Like you start with small, then you go up to the next word. You become small, up to the next word. So the beginning of the next word should be capital letter, but the very first one should always be small letter. The very first one should always be, and the following one should be with capital letters. So this one is capital letters. So if I want to write something like my first name, I want to use the camel case. I'll do my, and the next word is first. So the F will now be capital letter, first name. So you can see how the alphabet starts with small. The next word is capital letter, then it goes down, then you go to capital and go down. That particular thing is referred to as the camel case of naming variables. So it allows you to name as many things as you want. And Flutter prefers that you use the camel case, no underscore. It prefers that you use it. It doesn't mean that the underscore will not work. The underscore one, we use it when we are naming the file. We will get there when we are using Flutter. But then for now, you have to know that when you are talking about variables, we use the camel case, where after, if it is a compound name like last name, I say, like, I want to say my password, like my password. This is what I would have normally written in plain English. But in that, you have to use my, then the next word, which is next compound word, like word with capital letter, password. So no space between them, and we are always starting with a small letter, and any following word that is part of the name should be starting with capital letter following, so that it is readable. And the general thing you have to know about variable is that variable should define, like they should make sense. What you are keeping inside, it should make sense to them. If you are creating a variable, let's say comparing with a box for password, name the variable password. The thing is password, then you are going to name it as age. It doesn't make sense. So it should be like, it should make sense. It should represent, just from the name, you should know what is inside. That's why we call it a label. You can have a chemical and then that is like acidic, then you are going to mean that chemical is water. You are going to actually be confused yourself and confuse a lot of people, right? So that's the same thing that's happening within variable. Make sure that the name of the variable define what you are putting inside. It should be whatever you are putting inside. It can be as long as you want, but then it's better to keep it as short as it is. If I'm using the camel case approach, let's see that in action. In the hey guys, do you have any questions so far though?
No hand has been raised.
Okay, so I hope that you all have your this thing open. Always when we are meeting, please make sure that you have your that part open and ready to go. Okay, so this is what we did last time. Yeah, so I'm going to use, let me just use the what we used to do first. So I'm going to do the first name and last name thing, right? So first, those are names, so test. So their type is going to be string, of course. So my underscore first underscore name equals to the Francis. So Francis is what I'm keeping inside. You can write your own name. So then I'm doing print um my underscore first underscore name. See, then we run this. is still going to come. It's going to work with the underscore. It's going to work with the underscore. But let's see what the error is saying. You see this particular error. Let's put our this in here. So it's saying that, oh, I'm not capturing that. It should, the error should, the variable name, my first name, isn't a lower camel case identifier. Lower camel case identifier. So this one doesn't mean that if you use the underscore, it will not be wrong. But that prefers that you use the camel case for them. So the same thing, to avoid that error. It's not really an error, but then that's a preference to the language. So you use the first, then this one becomes name. So now we now use the camel case. So I can clean this thing and use first name, my first name. Then I run this. We are not seeing any error anywhere anymore. So the same thing runs. It works like that. And yeah, the worst case is trying to put an actual space. I think we'll have an error, right? Undefined name, my first name, and also my, this doesn't make sense. Setter not found, then all the blah blah blah. It's true, we don't use space when we are naming variables. As simple as that. That's the short thing. Guys, are we good?
Yes, please, we are good.
Okay. So there are other things. Variable is just one thing. There's another thing when we are doing classes and all that. We'll see that, oh, how to name them is also different, right? Yeah, but if you come to variables, this is how to name variables, and we are good with that. And we don't start with numbers. So let me say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. My first name. First, let me run it. Yeah, it's saying this. Like, we don't have to do that. But we can also start with lowercase, and it's not going to show this, that I need to use it as well over here. So, and then it's also not showing any error. We need to start with the underscore. But underscore are used in special cases. When we are proceeding, we'll tell you when to use the underscore one. But yeah, underscore doesn't give any, as long as you are following the camel case, you are not putting space, and your thing is very readable and relates to what you are putting inside, we are good. Great. So since that is understood, everybody now knows how to name their variable. So when I look at your code, right, it will get to a point where all these concepts, if you don't practice, that's why we are allowing one day between you can practice or go over the concepts. When you bring your code, or I'm trying to look into your code, these are things that I will try to notify. Oh, did you follow the session? Did you really understand why we are using this? Or you can write something and I'll ask you, okay, why did you use the camel case? The other one could work. Why are you doing that? Then I can ask you about your code and all that, right? So then, so that we know that you guys understand what you are doing and you are doing it the right way. Yes, so that's just a hint that you need to keep in mind. So that's very important for us to take our time and understand everything. Let us go back to the drawing board. Let me clear everything now. Okay, so we talk about the types like string, right? So let's say we have data type, the variable name equals to the actual data. This is the general format of anything. So we know how to name variables now. We know how to put things inside the variable, and we learned how to use the data, the various data type. The common ones are string, and the string is capital S. We have int, we have double for decimal point, and we have bool for true or false expressions. Okay, so I say the common ones. These are the common ones. There are more that we do, but these are what is used, the basic one, and it's used mostly, very mostly. Now, the other time I use box to illustrate how to put something inside. You put something inside, right, and a label and all that. But what if you create the variable and nothing is inside, right? Oh no, not that. Let's say you want to create a variable, you want to label it, but at the beginning you don't have anything inside. Let's say you don't have anything inside, but you want the system to be able to, based on what you put inside for the first time, it should capture the data type and match it accordingly. What I mean is, I just have an empty box and I label it, um, let me say name. Let me say name. Then I label it name. Then I want to put number one inside, the number one inside. So, um, let me not call it name. Let me call it random, because it should be something, right? It's an empty box. I don't know the data types yet. I don't want to specify the type of thing that can be inside that box. So we need to find a way that based on the first thing that enters into this variable, then this thing should adjust to capture that data type. So if it's one inside, then this thing is going to automatically be seen as an integer. And so henceforth, the box is going to be used for only integers. If the first time you put a string inside, then the variable data type will be adjusted to make sure that you now use string throughout. So whenever you use it, you have to make sure that it's string you are using going forward. Let me illustrate that in the code, then we see what I mean clearly. So now, for you to have a variable data type, right? The data type can vary. So instead of having string over here, we want the variable to adjust the type here, based on what we put for inside the variable for the very first time. So for that reason, because it's going to be variable, right, we are going to call it var. VAR. It's not the one in football. Var for variable, right? The data type is going to vary. That's what we mean. So I can do this. I'm creating a variable. I'm not putting anything inside, and I made it var, right? I'll do equals to 1. I say my first name equals to 1. See, there's no error. There's no error showing anywhere. If I run this, it's going to be it should come. It should print 1. Is it working? Yeah. Are you guys trying it on your end? Do you have it running at your end? Has anyone seen the one?
Okay, mine too is today.
Oh, I don't know why it's delaying. That is supposed to right. So that's supposed to print 1. It's supposed to print 1 here. Let me try to use the same variable. The thing is, when you create a variable and then you want to put something inside later on, like, or change the thing inside, you have to make sure that you just equate it. You don't have to explicitly state the type. So let's see what it's saying here. You see, it's saying that a value of type string cannot be assigned to a variable of type integer. It means that when you put 1 inside at this level, at this stage, the data type that is captured here is an integer because you put 1 there. And now going forward, you want to put a string inside. It's going to reject it. So because the box, yeah, we know at the beginning we don't know the data type, so we just make it variable. Then based on what you put inside, we want the data type to change accordingly. But then you put 1 inside, it's an integer. So henceforth, if you are using the variable anywhere, make sure that you are using integers. So I've entered 2 and I run 2. It's not coming to. Let me quickly check something. Yes.
And set up raise time.
Yes, Adam.
Yeah. So, please, can you go back about the error you had? I don't know if it was an error, by the way, when you replace the word like a string. Yeah. Okay. So what would have happened if you replace the one, the string
Yeah,
straight up?
I'm going step by step. So yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
wanted this thing to run. The two is not running. I think it's the system. But if it's we are in VS Code, it's supposed to show quickly. We don't have to do sharply. So it's supposed to actually show two. Um, Now let me just do like, let me change the type to like my first name, right? Francis. Now we know that it's a string now. So the error will be left here and then go and point at this guy. So when I run this string is yeah. So now they say variable of type int. So we are now at this point we are trying to put an integer into a string box, which is going to be rejected. Now let me just put something like set them there. So it's a string. First, let me do a print here. So I will print the first one, my first name, right? So at this point, Francis will print over here first. After this first print, we have now put set them into my first name now. So this second print will print the second name, the new name, the updated box basically. Um, my thing is not running. I think I need to restart the whole. Let me refresh my browser. If someone has it at their end, they should let me know. Uh, Guys, is your working?
Yes.
Okay, then what about the rest? I don't want to leave anyone behind.
Yeah, hello.
So for my came, but I changed to the integer one. It seems the one is coming.
I
The
can
one
hear
is
you.
now coming.
Calvin, what do you say?
I said like for the string, the name is coming, but I've changed it to the first example we did, the one. I just wanted to know that mine is coming now.
Oh, yours is
The
coming now.
integer.
Yeah. Okay. What about the rest? Sayram and Prisla.
Yeah, mine also okay.
Okay. Sayram.
Yes, so the truth is, my network was messing up, so I couldn't follow Kimi, but I wanted to do as you've done within that study. You've now come to the distance, so I couldn't copy. But then I'm trying. I want to run the first two that I have.
Okay. So I see mine has come now.
Yeah, but
This is an online issue.
okay,
This is an online issue. Uh, Let me put only integers. One and two should be printed. One and two should be printed. It should work like Kelvin's own. I think. Don't worry. When we use this platform, we will later go to VS Code for the actual stuff. But it's not coming. It's supposed to. Some people say they are come for them. So that's what. Sedem, has the numbers also come for you now?
Yes, I tried the numbers first, girl.
Okay. Hey, then it's me. But it's fine. Yeah, it's supposed to show. But then the most important thing that you understand, right?
Yes.
hey, that's
Yes.
what we doing.
Sayram, are you saying something?
No, please.
Okay, sure. Um, yeah, so this was supposed to come. So unfortunately, that mine is not coming. But yeah, we all get the concept. So that's how to use the var. So you need to know when to use. Let's say you are not sure of when to do that, when to use that, and blah blah blah. Now, the thing is, sometimes, right, you have to have an empty box. You can create an empty box or an empty variable. So at this point, there's nothing inside. There's nothing inside. So we are going to print it first. Then later we'll put two inside, and then the two print. I think like my numbers are not coming. So let me just use a string. My numbers are not coming. It doesn't mean that it's supposed to work at your end, but then I'm going to use string for now because I want to see something having issues with mine. So I'm running this to see. So first, I didn't put any. I wrote the var and then just my first name. We know that var is for variable data type, and first name is just the name. And we are not putting any equal to. We are not putting anything inside at this level. Guys, what do you see at your end? I know what's supposed to come, but confirm. Mine is not coming. I want to know what people are having.
Yeah, mine actually. Right, so the first printed. Okay, I use different names though. The first name was said, and then the second one was dev. So the first print printed the said, and then the second one printed the dev. Right, it's more or less like it replaced that one. It replaced the first one with the second one.
No, did you see what I'm doing here? The first one, I'm
No,
not
this
putting
very.
any-
Sorry, I'm not actually not on this
Okay,
very
it
one.
has come. Mine has come now. So what happened is that at this stage, we didn't put anything inside the variable. So when we are printing it, this variable is going to contain now. Now mean empty, meaning the box is empty or the variable is empty. Whenever the variable is empty, we have something called now. Now, so now means that there's nothing inside that box, there's nothing inside that variable. But at this point, we have given something to that variable already, and then we now print it, and you can see that now it is Francis printed now in the same box. So it just happened at this stage there was nothing. So you can create a variable that you don't specify anything when you are using the var. Okay, so let's see if it will work for the other data types. So that's for var, right? Var can take anything, even if it is empty, even and it can take the first data type of the first item you put inside. That's what the var does. But if you use the specific one like string, for example, right, at the beginning, you know it's not going to work. It's not going to work because string does not take a now, because at this point you are not giving it anything, you are not giving it anything at this stage, right? It's not var can take empty things, but if you specify that, oh, it should be a string, it should be an integer, it should be a bool, it should be a whatever, you cannot just create it like that and leave it and assign it later like that. Doesn't happen. So at this stage, you needed to provide something like string. If you don't want to put anything inside, you can just put an empty string inside. Well, I'm not putting space. Even a space is a string. So I'm just putting the two quotation mark and there's nothing inside, right? So this one is a string, right? Nothing is inside the string and I'm giving it here. So when you print this, the empty line is going to print first and then the rest will follow suit. Yeah, so this one is the empty one that we have here. This empty one that we have is on the first line. It's on the first line here, but you cannot see it on top of the name Francis. This is the second one. Guys, are we good? It's very important for you and to understand
Yes,
this.
please.
It's very important that for you guys to understand this. Yeah. So if you are using string, you have to make sure that you cannot do it like this and then go away with it. But if it is var can accept that, okay, at the beginning we can work with emptiness. So var can accept emptiness, and emptiness is called now. It's called now. So that's where the null appears. The first one appears as now stuff. Okay. I'm taking my, if you have any question at this stage, you can go ahead and ask. I want to hear from everybody. If you don't have a question, say no, you can move on. Right? If you want the same, if you want me to go back.
I'm okay.
Okay. Sure. Great.
I
Now,
have no question.
if we are the other thing is that, see, I want it to be string, right? But at this stage, I don't want to give it anything at this stage. I still want to use string, or I still want to use the specific type, right? But if you just use string alone, it doesn't take emptiness. Right? If you are using it raw, like anything else, as I said, unless it is var, unless it is var. Okay, if that's the case, I want it to be string, but I want that string to also be accepting a null or emptiness for me. On the string, you need to end it with question mark. You have to end it with the question mark whenever you want that particular thing to also accept emptiness, right? If it is var there, it automatically accepts emptiness, so no problem. But if it is the specific integer type string or not, we have to add a question mark to it. Then when you run it, you see the same response. Yeah, so the null is now appearing here, right? Because this string with the question mark is saying that, okay, yes, we know that you are a string, right? You should be string. You normally don't accept now. The question mark is saying that, okay, we can now accept now, even though it's a string. So whatever you should put inside should be a string. But at the beginning, we can accept now to be inside. The box can be empty. That's all the meaning for that. So if you do the same thing for var, right, it's going to be a little problem. A little problem, right? So var doesn't accept the question mark thing. Let me see. Because var is already taken care of now. So it's very like useless to be using var and then you are still using the question mark. These are the things that I'll be checking your code when we expand and we are building the whole system. And you are using a var, then you are putting a question mark on it, and you tell me, oh, the thing is working. The thing is working. It shows that you really don't understand what you are doing. So the var cannot accept that because var already takes care of emptiness. Guys, are we good?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. So we all know about var, we all know about strings. I can do the same thing for integer. Integer specifically needs to we need to specify something like 1, right? This one is going to run an error. I'm commenting it. You need to be used to the commenting with the shortcuts at this stage, right? So it's a var. My one has appeared. Okay. So this online thing that we are using is okay. So it's an integer, but then I want to now. I don't want to put anything inside at this stage. So it's going to give me an error. So for us to be acceptable, it's an integer, a specific type. For us to accept it, I just put a question mark on the int. Don't put it on the name of the variable. That particular question mark is dealing with the data type, not the variable or the label. It's about the data type. Okay, can the what's inside? This one defines what kind of thing can be inside. The question mark added just means that it can also accept emptiness or null. So yeah, so that's the null thing appearing over there too. So you can either give an integer or you can leave it empty. Leave it empty on an integer. If it's a string, you can do the same thing on bool. Bool as well. Bool. The question mark just says that, okay, it's a bool. The question mark is just saying, but if you remove the question mark, it's going to be an error because they say non-nullable variable must be assigned before it can be used. That's what the error is telling me. Non-nullable. But if you want to be nullable, meaning you can accept now, add the question mark, and then you are free to go. Your code will be working, but if we look at your code, we can see that now you didn't really understand the concept, and you can break code, and it's not scalable, right? So that's why we are we are training you developers that to really understand what you are doing and doing it efficiently and well. Okay, so that's about that. What if, okay, let's say the var is saying that whatever you put inside first, that's what that's the data type that you need to capture. But in some cases, we are not really. I want a box that can vary. It can take now, it can take string, it can accept integer, it can accept all kind of data types. It can accept all kind of data types, even now itself. Right? We want one that can take care of all of them at once. Sometimes, some cases, we want it like that. But then, in most cases, the var we don't use mostly because most of the thing you have to know if you are writing your code, you have to know what what you are expecting at this particular point. So if it's a string, you need to specifically say it. Can the string also be empty? Then you add a question mark to it, then you move on. Mostly that's what you need to be doing in most of your code. Stating whether it's integer, string, and this and adding the null to it. But there are some cases that you can use the var. These are extreme cases, right? And then there's string cases where we can expect anything into that box. For that one, we don't use var for it. We use a common word, dynamic. Dynamic. So dynamic means that anything can go inside. Right? So the null itself will go inside. Right. Let me uncomment this. So null inside can go inside. Let me do my first name, the same variable equals to 25. Let me print my first name again. So at this stage, we're now having a different thing. Let me do my first name. Let me put a bool inside equals to true. Then I'll print it, my first name. So at this stage, we know that, okay, we are having different things inside. Let me run this. Let's see what we have. So you can see that the dynamic alone, especially the dynamic, means that, oh, this box can take any kind of data type. That's why it's dynamic. That's English word. So it took now. You go and use Francis, which is a string, and then you go and use integer, then you go and use a bool, which is true, right? Because of just the expression dynamic, the whole concept changes. The whole thing changes if you are just using var. Var will capture this, right? And then we'll be waiting for the first time that you use it. And then at this point, it will assign this particular box as a string. It will assign it as a string. And when it assigns that, right? So here is now. It will print this now because it's now. We accept that. But the first time you assign something into the box, it will now take the form of a string. Then it will print this. But then going forward, like these guys, there are going to be errors. So that's what's going to give us an error because it's a var, it's not a dynamic. Hey, it has come. I think it's running my old one. You're not supposed to have variable. Uh, we are not supposed to have this. Is not supposed to work, right? The whole thing changes when you are using the var, and var takes string first. This online thing I'm using, I think it's a bad idea. Let me refresh this thing. Guys, have you run this at your end?
Yeah, we are running it.
Okay.
You actually work me too with a var.
The var was supposed to be not work. Let me see. We accepted now, right? So when it goes here, when it comes to this stage, at the beginning it is now, meaning that it is empty. So when it goes here, it assigns the string. You have to understand how the var works. Take your time and understand how the var works and know the difference. At the beginning, it is working with just now. Now we proceed, we want to give a string. It's supposed to take the string type. But then when you go here, we assign 25 and it works. Because at the beginning it's now. So at the over here, it is going to throw off the whatever string that we have, right? It's like because you're accepting now, so it will empty it. It will empty it and then give it 25, which will still work. Right? When you come here, it's a different data type, so it will empty it. Why is that emptiness were happening? Because at the beginning, we have accepted emptiness, right? So we didn't give it anything at the beginning. So if you do something like equals to home, you see at the beginning, it is not empty at the beginning. So it will run this, it will work on string. Then when you get to integer now, it's an issue because first, we are not expecting any empty thing to work for you to take the next data type. So we see it's pointed basically at this guy. Is saying that a value of type int cannot be assigned to a type string. A value of type bool cannot be assigned of type string because we have captured it already at the beginning. But if you use now, like at the beginning now, nothing is inside. Nothing is inside the beginning. And when it reaches here, it will take the data type string. When it reaches here, it will empty it and then take the data type 25 because that emptiness is happening because of this. But that thing doesn't affect dynamic. Dynamic is dynamic as it is, right? Whether you give it an empty at the beginning or not, you can even give it equals to home, right? Yeah, you really empty it at the beginning, right? But let's see if it will still work. So it still work for dynamic because like even whether you empty it at the beginning, you accept null at the beginning or not, dynamic is always going to be dynamic. Guys, do you understand?
Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, I get it.
Okay, so if it is clear, and that's very important. Good that I had to capture that and let you guys know at once. Yeah, that's what the var does, right? But it's to be safe, once you understand what you are doing, know when to use your var. You to use your var. So it's most importantly, see if you use var, right? Flutter doesn't really agree with using var and not giving it an initial value. Flutter doesn't, you see it underline it, and the underline is the error is going to say something. Why is it not coming? The error is supposed to show here. Let me see, we can read it down here. I want to read this. I want to read the error. I want to read the full error. So let me see. An initial an English an an initialized variable should have an explicit. So for var, right, is you can leave it now and go and work with it. But um that knows, or Flutter knows about the issue of that thing that we just faced right now. So he says that okay, if you're using var, please give it an initial value, but we don't care what you give it. You can give it one. If you give it one, then that's going to be the type it's going to take. If you give it a string or like a false, so it's a bool, so that's going to be the type that it will take, right? So you can be changing this thing, anything you want based on what you give it first. Then the value will adjust accordingly and use that throughout your code. But if you don't give it initial testing, then you need to use the concept. Like you have to have at the back of your mind that the data type will still work for the various thing because emptiness is happening at the beginning. So that emptiness will be done to take the next data type. Then to do the next data type. Then everything will follow suit like that. Yeah. So let me go to dynamic. Dynamic doesn't have any issue, right? But it's very rare for you to be using dynamic. We use it when it's very necessary, especially when we are using map. That's when dynamic comes mostly. Now, the dynamic already accepts emptiness, right? I'm going to put the null listing on it. So it's saying that the question mark is unnecessary because dynamic is this thing. Let me see. Let me see if it will come. The question mark is unnecessary because dynamic is nullable without it. So it's clear here, right? So dynamic is not like it's not important, right? You don't need it. But if I see your code, like if you see a code of a beginner or someone that doesn't understand, right? So this is what will happen, right? Yeah. So you know like okay, maybe you don't know. Dynamic doesn't follow this thing, these issues. So you know when to use a question mark and all that. So something like this, why would string alone on this will not work? Or string alone of this will not work. So all of you should understand why it's not going to work. If you put a question mark on it before it works, then you should also be able to explain why it is so. Because explicit data types naturally don't accept empty box at the end. But then if you want to start with an empty box, make sure that you put a question mark on it and you move on. And of course, these are not going to be the various data types accepted. Yeah, guys. Any question? Any question?
Okay, no question. Yeah.
Mm, I heard something like someone.
Sarah has raised her hand.
Okay, Sarah,
Yes, so please, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if this question is tangible or not, but then I just wanted to know why, as we are coding, we would need an empty box, like an empty variable before we begin. Like, are there uses of it? Is that I don't know. Is it very crucial to please have a now like that?
I don't think my question was heard. I was asking if the use of the now, i.e., the empty box, was very crucial when coding, and if yes, why and what are the instances within which we could use that?
Okay. So I was saying that you are going. The now is going to the app you are going to build mostly the emptiness is very important because when you connect your app to the backend, right? A user types something on the app that you build, and then the users type something like users they can send anything or they send something to the back and there's no internet connection yet. So the response back from the internet is empty. The backend doesn't return anything. Maybe they enter something you went through, but then based on what they want is there's an error or there's invalid data or something. Then the backend says it's empty. The thing is going to be null. What your app is going to receive from the backend is going to be empty. So that emptiness is very important. So we call something nullity checking. We check if the response is null or not. If it is null, then you show a particular page or message to the users. If it is not, then you show the response that you get, whatever you want to use it for. So when you are creating the variable that will be taking the response from the backend, you have to make sure that you make it in such a way that it can accept null. So if you do a string, you're expecting a string, you put a question mark on the string so that it can happen that whatever is coming is empty from the backend. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Or maybe a user is supposed to enter something before going to the next stage. Or user is supposed to enter the name of like a particular, but like surname, last name, first name. But some people they just ignore that and they want to press the button, or maybe they are filling it and they forgot one. Then you go and press the button. Then you check that okay, one of them is empty. One of them you didn't enter anything there. Then it allows you to prompt the user that oh, this particular level you didn't enter anything. Then that's where at every point it's going to be now. Places where the thing is not going to depend on the internet. It's going to be hard coded. Then you can actually put the actual value there. But if it is going to mostly depend on the internet, then you should expect that things will be now, errors will come. So you have to gracefully take care of that error when the data from the backend is empty and it's not your fault. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are cool.
Yeah. Any other question? Or we are done for today?